In this lesson, we'll explore Cinema 4D's animation preferences, project settings, and we'll also take a look at its time slider and power slider. The scene is animation intro 02 begin in your project files. To start, let's say we head over to the time slider. It's where we see this gray bar. We'll go to our playback controls. This will look very similar to what we see on a remote. I'm going to go ahead and hit play just to show you the animation. So we have a ship that's landing. Now the timing of this is regulated in our project settings. When we open up Cinema 4D, we automatically see those settings to our right. But if we were to go ahead and select an object, notice those settings are no longer there. If we'd ever like to bring them back, we most certainly can do so under the Edit menu, choose Project Settings. Right now, what's playing back is 30 frames per second. So if we were working in game, this is the setting we'd like to use. We could also set this to, of course, any range we'd like. So let's say if we wanted to view back 24 frames per second, if we were working in film, most certainly can do so. So we hit play, animation will now play back according to that setting. Underneath, what we have is the minimum time and the maximum time of our animation. The minimum time is basically the start frame. The maximum time is the end frame. If we were to look at the time slider, notice we can set these values here as well. So if we wanted our maximum time to be frame 80, we'll certainly can set that. You see the bar on the time slider has changed. It's actually still at 72 frames. This is our playback range or preview range. If we were to look underneath the minimum maximum time parameters, we also see those same settings here. What this means is that if we were to hit play, we'll only see from frames 0 to 72, what's defined here and here in our project settings. If we wanted to, we can go ahead and set this to view 80 frames by simply double-clicking the end and typing that in. Or another way is to drag the arrow. This definitely applies for the minimum range, so we can go ahead and set that. Something important to keep in mind with the time slider is that we cannot take this value, so we double-click at the end of the bar and set it to a greater value than our maximum time. So if I wanted to go to frame 1000, can't do so by adjusting the time slider bar, but I most certainly can from the maximum time field. So I can always set this to 1000. There we have it. I'm going to bring this back to frame 80. Just going back to the range we've set. So that's basically the project settings we'd want to keep in mind before we begin animating. There are a few others. Of course, use animation. We definitely want to leave that checked on for our motion system. We'll go ahead and discuss these things shortly as we progress through the training. All right, but again, these are the most critical things we want to keep in mind as of right now. If we were to head over to Edit, let's go ahead and check out our preferences. We'll go ahead and choose Units. So this is basically underneath the animation unit. This is how we can set what type of time we'd like to view in our project, in our document. So we could always set this to seconds if we like, or even the SMPTE option for viewing frames and seconds. I'm going to go ahead and leave this set to frames. Also underneath timeline, we have a few settings here that we can choose. I'm going to show you a few of these. One, dope sheet mode. We have a dope sheet, of course, in Cinema 4D, but it's called something different. It's actually our key mode. If I were to select the animated ship, right click, we can go to show tracks. So this is our key mode. Now if I were to zoom in, just using the normal zoom tools that we'd use for navigating in the viewport, right now you can see our keys are centered on the frame. The frame is represented by this gray line right at the top. on our time slider. Now, if we were to go ahead and check on dope sheet mode, all that's going to do is shift the key so that it's centered between the frame. So it's basically however you'd like to work. So right now this key is going to follow after frame 12, but it's still on frame 12. It's not adjusting our timing, just the way we view things in our key mode or the key manager. I'm going to leave that checked off. What's also cool is our min and max range in the F-curve manager. Let me go ahead and show you that quickly. If we were to just go ahead and head over to the F-curve manager, we could do so from the shelf at the top, so we could toggle between our different systems. I'm going to move to the F-curve mode. Underneath the F-curve, we could also make sure that show all tracks is turned off. With it turned on, we're going to be able to see all of our F-curves, but right now we just want to focus on a selected track. So I'll go ahead and make sure that's turned off, and I'll go ahead and choose the position Z track to view its animation. So this is our F-curve. We'll go ahead and explain exactly what this is again in lessons to come, but for right now, let's go ahead and just discuss our min and max range. So these dots, these represent our keyframes. And what's nice is that if we want